The Pretender is like Proto-Dexter. If you wanted to watch Dexter, but you didn't like the vibes of supporting a murderer as the main character, The Pretender is the show for you. The Pretender, it's a show from the 90s, and a friend helped me get a copy, and the first episode I've just watched, and pretty much as soon as he walks in, I'm like, can I swear yet? Holy shit, this is like Dexter vibes, serious Dexter vibes, but without the murder. Although there's a moment where you're like, hang on, you're not just gonna let that guy die, are you? Okay, so let me bring up my list of similarities. But yeah, I don't know, it's hard to find copies of it. Okay, similarities between the characters of the Pretender, Jared, and Dexter. They're both very smart. They're both incredibly deceptive. They're both doing vigilante shit, although for different motivations. They're both in hiding in some way. So Dexter is hiding from the law. Jared is hiding from a shady organization. They both have questionable father figures. And they both have childhood flashbacks. At least, you know, the first season of Dexter, and then, you know, after a while they sort of just move on to him imagining things. But originally there were flashbacks to childhood. And then there are some, like, more subtle things with mannerisms. Maybe it goes along with the deceptiveness and, like, they're trying to seem nice and trying to hide that they're not who they say they are. Because, you know, I mean, Dexter, in his general, like, day-to-day life, he's pretending to be someone he's not, but he also, doing research, takes on different roles and pretends to be someone who he's not, and the Pretender, Jared, is constantly pretending to be someone he's not. Obviously, their motivations are different, though, because Dexter is not really doing this altruistically. He just, you know, is trying to find an excuse to kill with his vigilante actions. Whereas with Jared's case, he's actually trying to help. So, you know, he just seems like a nice kid, and he's also got that guilt complex because the things that he was made to do before he escaped the shady organization, he did lead to a lot of people dying. So they both have high death counts. Oh my gosh. And yeah, they both come across as, like, quite creepy to me. I mean, you know, they don't come across as creepy to the characters in the show, but I'm looking at Jared and I'm like, I know he's not a murderer, but he totally could do a lot of damage if he wanted to, and that seems to be what happened in his past. Now, it wasn't his fault what happened in the past. It's a bit of a, like, an Ender's Game kind of situation. But yeah, no, I just had to make this video straight away. I'm still not well, and so I've just been being lazy. But I finally started watching it and watched the first episode. I'm just like, holy shit, there's so much in common with Dexter. And also another thing that's kind of interesting is Dexter in his day-to-day life is perceived as being innocent and a nice guy. And in Jared's case, though, there is a moment where one of the ladies chasing him describes him as a sociopath when he's clearly not. He's clearly an empath, the kind of the opposite. Whereas, yeah, Dexter is not seen as a sociopath, but he is. So there's a little bit of an inversion there. Very, very interesting stuff. I used to watch The Pretender. Holy shit, like 20 years ago. We had it on Foxtel. And I never really got to see, like, I only saw random episodes depending on when they were on, but now I'm going to do a full watch through, and I'm just like, it holds up really well. Also, hilariously, at the end, the credits are very short. Like, they did not need a huge budget to produce this show, and it is really well done. Yeah, this is one of those shows that you could only do in the 90s. Like, it has to be set in the 90s because a lot of the stuff that he's doing in his pretending life, it just wouldn't work today because, like, with cameras and with digital records, like, one of the reasons he's able to infiltrate so many different places is because paper records are slow. The 90s didn't have the kind of, I mean, there are computers, but he's able to, you know, mess them up a lot more. You know, internet security hasn't always been a thing. I mean, to some extent, early Dexter, you know, it works better because it's like, the real computers and, you know, sort of Big Brother kind of world we almost almost live in now. We're pretty close. Not quite there, but pretty close. I haven't watched any of the new Dexter yet. I don't know, have they done the new Dexter, or is it still the prequel one? I haven't kept up with what's going on. So, but you know, like when they did the Snow Dexter, what did they call that? New Blood. To me in my brain, it's Snow Dexter. You know, modern world stuff. A very different kind of situation to do all this shady behind the scenes things. So yeah, some shows need to be in a digital world, or early digital world, when things weren't as stupid as they are now. Microsoft, get your shit together. Actually, all of them get your shit together. But anyway, no, and it just makes me think of like Animorphs is another one that had to be set in the 90s, because can you imagine if someone caught you morphing on camera? I mean, you know, people would think it was just special effects, maybe, but the Yerks wouldn't. They would know what was going on, and they would, yeah, you're out. You got a worm in your brain now. I hear that's in fashion these days. Okay, 6 minutes in. If you don't know what The Pretender is, show from the 90s, quick overview of the situation is like, he's a really smart kid. He was taken into this organization, told that his parents were dead, and he had to do a series of like simulations. Like he's an empath, and he's highly intelligent. He can imagine scenarios, imagine what people are thinking and feeling, and sort of predict what's going to happen and put himself into the place of whoever he's simulating, and it helps him work out various scenarios. And he's put to work by this organization, and yeah, it comes out that some of the simulations he was doing had military applications. So if you've seen Ender's Game, or I know there's a book as well, I haven't read the book, I've only seen the movie, but it's kind of like he doesn't know that the things that he's doing are actually having real world impacts. It's kind of just like, I don't know, a game or science or theoretical to him. And then eventually he finds out, like, this is all backstory that you kind of find out through the first episode, so it's not too much, not too spoilery. But he eventually realizes what they're doing, escapes, and is on the run. And yeah, he's trying to figure out, who is he actually? Like, who are his parents? Are they actually dead? Where did he come from? And so that's what he's doing. But in the meantime, while he's traveling around, he's sort of making up for the fact that his actions have killed a lot of people. And he just seems like, you know, if you were that smart and you also cared that much about people, why not use your powers for good over evil? And so, yeah, as he's trying to find out about himself, he goes and helps people and tries to right wrongs and expose people who are really horrible, who've destroyed lives. Yeah. And, you know, it's kind of like, it seems to be that the situations that he's getting himself into, like the vigilante situations he's getting himself into, do have some tangential relation to him figuring out who he is. Although this is based on the first episode and vague things I remember from 20 years ago. Am I that old? Holy shit, because that would have been high school. I was watching that. Anyway, I know, I've just been watching it, so like my brain is in a weird headspace, and that's probably why I'm like, guys, and why am I clicking? I can't even, you can see I can't even click, but my brain thinks I can click, and it's like, come on, guys. Anyway, no, and so in the first episode, it's just the first episode. It's been out since, it's been out for like almost 30 years, so, you know, I mean, I guess there are kids today who will have no idea and don't want to spoil it, but in the first episode, he's at a hospital pretending to be a doctor and righting wrongs in that hospital while also getting his blood tested in an attempt to find out things about his genetics. And genetic testing back then is not what it is today. So, of course, you know, there's only so much you can find out. But yes, very good show if you can find it, if you can get your hands on it. I recommend it, especially if you enjoyed Dexter. Now, towards the end of the episode, there is a moment where you're like, oh my god, is he actually going to cause this person's death? You don't really see what happens, but it's like, you're pretty sure he aborted the situation before it was too late. But I like that ambiguity as well. It kind of makes me think of, well, actually, no, the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga, it wasn't ambiguous. He actually did kill people. But anyway, no, and so I think one of the main differences is, like, with Dexter, he's very calculating, and he's definitely dark. Whereas with Jared, there are moments in this first episode where you can see like he's still basically a child because he wasn't allowed to grow up properly, and oh my god, here comes some relatable shit. Anyway, yeah, and so like he's discovering ice cream for the first time, and he's like super innocent in a lot of ways, but then he can be like he just becomes a doctor. And he knows how to do all these procedures, and it's incredibly creepy. And like, he's a bit more human than the doctors, and it's demonstrated with the patient that he connects with that no one else can connect with because he can empathize that well. But it is incredibly creepy. That you can go from being this super innocent, childlike, wow, ice cream's amazing, to, I mean, another similarity, there's even a moment, like, you know when Dexter is about to kill someone, and that's finally when the facade drops, and he talks to the guy on the table, it's usually a guy, sometimes it's a girl, talks to the person on the table, and is like, you know, you did all this stuff, admit blah, 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 and, you know, he says, yeah, I'm not who everyone thought I was, and now you're about to die. Jared does that to one of the guys in this episode, in a kind of a way, and I'm just like, holy shit, he even did the whole like reveal, I'm not really a doctor and you might die now. Holy shit. So I don't know if the rest of I can't remember if the rest of the show is quite that creepy, but like as soon as he walked in, and there's just something about his facial expression that I'm just like, and like the way that he looks as well, I'm just like, oh my god, this is very Dexter. And the whole time in the show, there's just like these little things popping up, very Dexter. Even like the father figure thing, like to that level. Because I did try and do a quick Google, and there are people who've noticed some similarities, but they tend to bring up things about being smart and deceptive and vigilante, but they don't talk about the father figure flashbacks. So anyway, I'm glad I did this as a video instead of a short, because there's just like, and did my friend come back to me? The friend who helped me find it? No. So I did tell the friend who helped me get the copy of it, said he didn't remember any of that about the show at all. So maybe it's just because like I am drawn to these kinds of characters that I notice all these similarities, but like how can you say no? Smart, deceptive, vigilante, hiding in some way from either the law or a shady organization, and sometimes the law can be a bit shady, you're not gonna anyway, hiding from like the powers that be, questionable father figure, childhood flashbacks, certain mannerisms, and being very creepy, and being able to do the innocent kind of thing, but then being very scary, and just having all this potential to cause so much damage. And yeah, so the pretender, the reason I tracked down this show, or asked my friend to help me track down this show, is you know, it does have that sort of duality in a way, you know, with the innocence and the scariness, but also like, you know, because he's trying to figure out who he is. Like this would have been 20 years ago when I was in high school, and sort of like the mental illness is all emerging in me, and yeah, my sense of self being not great. And also like I was a high achiever, and people asked, so what do you want to do when you grow up? And I really struggled to answer that question, because there's so many things that I had a mild interest in, and it's impossible for me to pick a pathway. And so I became nothing. No, and I've done, like, I'm a little bit good at a lot of things, so there's a lot there that I can actually relate to. Like, obviously, I'm not some sort of hyper genius just inserting myself into all these different situations. But I do watch Air Crash Investigation and think, gee, I could be a pilot. If the plane was crashing, I could save us. Anyway, no, so there's sort of that identity confusion. He doesn't know who he is. He can be anything he wants to be, and a lot of people are like, oh gee, you've got so much potential, you can be anything you want to be. And I'm like, but I don't know what I want to be. And he's like, but I don't know who I actually am. So there's a lot of that relatable shit there, and the thing about being an overachiever and the people around you not helping you properly. Kind of treating you not great, because yeah, he's just been gaslit his whole life about what's really going on. And yeah, no, I remember being like into the show, and I think also the thing about being chased, you know, he's being hunted, is probably also a thing. And like, you know, Kind of makes me think of like Minority Report. Tom Cruise is getting chased for something that he hasn't really done, but might do. And I think there's an element of that in this show because he has so much potential to be very destructive. And so that's one reason they want to catch him. They also want to catch him alive so they can continue to exploit him. Although at this point, now that he knows what's going on, why would he help them anymore? But yeah, so they're trying to contain a potential threat. But also, you know, they don't want their organization to be exposed for what they've been doing to these kids. But yeah, no, the thing about being chased, persecuted, he's been perceived as a sociopath by one of the women chasing him. I think there's like that sort of weird guilt feeling. I think I have a bit of that weird guilt thing. I don't know if it's from like the Catholic thing, because apparently Catholic is all about like, you know, one of the most guilt-ridden religions. And I don't mean in terms of controversy. I mean in sort of, you know, I'm such a sinner, forgive me kind of shit. They sort of drill that into you. I didn't realize that was a thing until I started seeing, actually it was a t-shirt, but you know, memes about it. Yeah, and then I think because my life was not great, I didn't feel supported, and so it's sort of like the childhood logic of there must be something that I've done wrong or I'm bad in some way, and you know, I do have that kind of inner dark side vibe because of that, and there's maybe the schizoid thing as well. Anyway, so yeah, that whole thing about being chased. I actually also have dreams sometimes where I'm being chased because I've done something, but I don't really know what. Anyway, off topic. That's a bit of a ramble. I'm still not feeling... Why am I doing this? I cannot click. I don't know why. But, I'm still alive. I did... I don't know if it'll show up on camera. Yeah, I had a blood test today, so we'll find out, hopefully. Nothing ever comes back from my blood test, and we're testing for some like wild stuff that is highly unlikely, but hey, they took I think maybe 4 vials of my blood today. Some of them are a bit smaller though. And then I ate a really, really big McDonald's breakfast and was in a food coma for a few hours after. I had to fast before the blood test. But yeah, so I'm also like on vitamin C and zinc for my mouth ulcers. I've got to take Hydrolite. I'm sort of not taking as much of these things as she told me straight away though, because, you know, just in case my body is like nope to that as well. Yeah, not wearing the wigs. I may have to give up the cyber wigs, but we'll wait and see. There's a few ways I can test that, but I've got to wait until I'm feeling better again. And it's funny how watching a TV show made me feel well enough to vlog. I wasn't going to vlog. There were other vlogs that I wanted to do before this one, but then watching that show and my brain is like, wait a minute. And yeah, putting me in a different state of mind. Anyway, so I'm not feeling great. Tomorrow I don't have to go out except to walk the dog. Oh my god, maybe I can actually relax. Do I have anything else to say? No, just like go and find yourself a copy of The Pretender, especially if you enjoy shit like Dexter. But like the innocent version, it's like flipped in that way, but it's still creepy. Creepy. It is, trust me, it's anyway.